Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss about the revolve feature. So revolve is a protrusion command, and that we discussed that in protrusions we normally will have a profile, and that profile will be generated along certain path. So we did extrude in the protrusion menu, and normally in extrusion we have a profile, and if we generate that profile along a path which is perpendicular to the sketching plane, the resultant object is known as extruded object. Similarly, in revolve command, you will have a profile and the path of generation will be in circular direction. So normally, uh, what you will do in a revolve command is that you will be making a sketch, and then you will revolve that sketch around certain axis. So the requirements to complete a revolve command is selecting or selection of two entities. So you have to select a profile and then an axis of rotation for that profile, so that we can revolve the profile around the selected axis at any angle. So let us start. I have already generated some of the sketches that you see on the screen. So let me turn off the plane so that you can easily see the sketches, and also let me turn off the visibility of the coordinate system. So I have these sketches and I want to revolve them. So in the protrusion menu, second command is the revolve. So if simply I click on the revolve command, so the message will appear through the dashboard area. So you have to select profile. That profile can be a closed profile, it can be an open profile, it doesn't matter. So, and you can see the placement type is again red in color, so this needs your attention. And if I click on that, so like the extrude command, here you can see that it is asking for the selection of the sketch, or you can define your own sketch like we did in the extrude command. So आप रिवॉल्व कमांड में रहते हुए भी एक नए स्केच की तरफ जा सकते हैं. So you can click on the define button, or you can directly click on that sketcher, and then within that you can select the sketch tab, and then it will ask you to go for the plane selection and then the profile. So suppose I want to revolve this line or maybe this arc at certain angle. So you can see that when I hover the cursor on any entity, so that entity normally highlights. This means that we can select that for the revolution. Let me resume that. And in the placement, I am in the selection mode. So I can select any of the entity, but closely look when I select this arc, so it is not selecting it. The system is not selecting it. So you will not be able to select an open entity by default. However, if I select this closed profile, so it has selected that and directly revolved it around an axis, and this is because I have also defined an axis with this closed profile. So it has an internal axis defined, so automatically it will pick that axis. So if I remove that and I go back to the selection of those open entities, so they are not being selected. This is because by default the selection or the generation mode is set to the solid option. So you do have the surface option. So open entities cannot be generated as solid entities. It can only be generated as surfaces. So first you have to change to the surface mode, and then you can pick any entity. Like for example, if I click this arc, so it has been selected now, sketch number 3. And then you must also define the axis for that. So axis can be an axis, अगर axis की command से आपने axis define की है, or it may be any straight edge. So axis is nothing, it is a straight line. So if you have a straight edges within the part file or the drawing file, so you can select those four axes. So if I pick this, let us say straight line as an axis uh, for revolution, you can see that it has revolved that particular arc around this straight line, and then rest of the parameters you can set, like for example the total angle of revolution is set here to 360 degrees, but if I change it to maybe let us say 180 degree, so you can give any angle from 1 to 360, and then you can also change the direction of the rotation, that it is clockwise or counterclockwise. So the flipper is available, so if I change the direction, so now you have that 180 degree revolution of the arc around the axis, which is the straight line. Once you revolve an open entity around an axis, then you can switch back to the solid and you can convert this surface model to a solid model by giving certain thickness to that particular surface. So if I click on the solid mode option, so now you have that thickness option available over here, in which you can change that thickness. For example, if I set it to 10 units, so now it has 10 unit thickness, and then again flipper is also available with that, so you can change the direction of that thickness, that it should be inside or outside the profile, or maybe half, जिस तरह ribs में हमने किया था, ठीक है ना. So you have three possible options. Half of the thickness will be added to one side of the profile, half to the other side. It can be completely inside or it can be completely outside. So that will depend on your selection. So initially, if you have an open entity, so you can revolve that as a surface. So let me again switch back to 360 degree rotation. Now I have the same sketch, and if I, let us say, change this axis of rotation, so either you can right click or remove, or if you are in this particular box, so it is a selection box, so you can pick some other edge also. So if I suppose take this as my new axis of revolution, so you can see that the resultant object has totally changed. So if I pick, let us say, this straight line, then I can select this one. So you can select any straight edge, as far as the surface of revolution is concerned. So normally in the revolve command, the resultant object will totally depend on the orientation of the profile and the axis around which you want to rotate that. So like for example, if I remove that, I take this as my revolve object, or axis को मैं remove करके, for example, if I take this, so you are getting something like this shape, and if I pick this as my axis, so this is the result. So let me change orientation to the front view, again, so this is your resultant object. If I pick this axis, this will be your result. This is another result that you can get. So overall, you can say that the resultant generated object will depend on the relative distance and the angle between the profile and the axis that you are using. So it is a simple command. Simply you have to select a profile and access for that. If I remove that, you know, and let me pick this line as the entity to be removed, and suppose if I pick this one, you know so this is the resultant object. you know if I take this as my revolution, or this one, or maybe this one, you can see the results are totally different from one another. So what I'm trying to explain is that the resultant object will depend on the relative distance and angle in between the axis of revolution and the entity that you have revolved. Otherwise, if I go back to the orientation, set it to front view, uh, by default it will be set to the solid option. So solid option में अगर for example मैं ये close profile select करता हूँ, so it will be revolved as a solid. और यहाँ पे मैंने axis define की थी, तो automatically it has picked that axis. So again I can pick some other axis if it is a straight line for that generation also. So if I pick, let us say, this line, so this is your result. So look at the result that right now we have this particular shape, and if I pick this one, so this will be the resultant shape. So it totally depends again on the axis. So if I pick this one, so you can see you can get a pulley like object, and this is how you can use the revolve option. Again, if I set the rotation angle to 180 degree and let me change the direction, so as I said that if you have a surface model, so you can go back to the solid option, and then you can give certain thickness to that surface. And if you already are in the solid mode, so again you can use the thickened object or the thickened tab, so you can directly convert a full-fledged solid model to thickened model. So if I click on that, so then it will ask you to give that thickness, और ये आपका result होगा, which will be hollow from inside. It will have the desired thickness which you will type in through this text box. And similarly, अगर thickness को मैं remove करके अगर solid model आपके पास है, so again you can convert that solid to a surface. So you can have a surface model also. So this will be your result. So this is how you can use the revolve command. I think you will have no difficulties in using the revolve command. Okay. So see you in the next video. Thank you.